What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I did want to talk about these summits again. Now, I do know I have made a few videos before going over the summits. Like, yeah, we can all agree, like, some of the rewards are not all that great. Or, like, a lot of players might look at this and go, why would I want to go into this for, like, a tire or, having 100,000 XP for, like, the main stage or even a car that I already own? That is most likely going to give me, like, $100,000. The big thing I did want to focus on in this, though, is probably going to come down to the summit events themselves. And I really do think they could actually change it around a bit and most likely overhaul it. And that is also the question I did want to ask right off the bat. Do you guys think the summits need some type of overhaul in some way with like the events or the skills? I almost feel like everybody's going to be like, well, yeah, Block, like we probably do need something to be changed in the summits a bit with like the events, or even something around the fact of having like these score breaker sets back to what they were before, instead of only having them capped so everybody has like the exact same score in them. For example, right now in this summit, guys, I am currently around 3,616th place. Mind you, I did not use any part sets whatsoever in this entire summit. For all 6 of the events in this one, which was the week before the actual Black Panther one, I did actually end up going into this one. I was like, you know what? Let me go into this summit and use an XP magnet on all the events, and then go into all 3 of the slaloms here using a regular chemist set with having skilled on every single part, and I still managed to actually get into platinum. And that could also come down to the fact of not a ton of people are doing it, like it's only 71,000. Now, I could say that probably has something to do with getting into platinum, like if it was going to be a car like the lovely R34 in the Black Panther Experience, or something like a Bugatti Divo Magma Edition again, then I would probably say 200,000 players or like 180,000. It would probably be a bit more intense. Now for this though, I did want to go over this. Now I really do think some type of overhaul in the summit is needed. Now don't get me wrong, I do enjoy the summits, but let's be real. They could easily mix around the summits a lot more now. I did say in a previous video a while back that they probably should have more mixed events in there. Like for example, guys, do you actually like having the exact same class on all 6 events? Or would you rather have a different race or like a different class for each event? For example, there's 6 events. Maybe each event could be a racing, hypercar, Street Tier 1, Tier 2. At least every single event in the summit is going to be like a different car, like a different experience. Instead of picking like the exact same car for like 5 of the events, because you can do that in some of them. I just feel like a lot of players might have like a more of a variety pick there. And also jump into a summit and go, oh, let me drive this car. Ooh, I also get to use an Alpha GP in this event. And then for that one, I have to use a hypercar. And oh, let me go pick a racing car for this one. I just feel like it would be a good mix-up. And at least in that way, though, you're then going to be able to drive different vehicle classes and at least jump into the summit and go, oh, you know what? I actually get to drive like 4 or 5 different classes instead of looking at it and go, oh, I can only use a racing vehicle on every single event. Now, one thing I do want to mention, though, is I do understand to like a certain extent of why they do this. Like, I do know they're not just doing this because it's lazy. It's nothing like that. It's more of the fact of, looking at the summit and going, oh, this one's kind of like a specific type of like setting for like only a racing car would make sense, or having like some of the other summits only being a street tier 2 like type of summit. That I honestly do understand having that mix in there, like that does make sense. And maybe they can like theme the summits a bit differently to have like maybe different modifiers in each event, or having something different for each one to maybe mix up that variety just a little bit. The other thing I do want to mention, guys, I actually did say a long time ago in an older video, which I do think everybody is most likely going to agree with. Am I the only one that thinks every single skill should be capped to a certain vehicle category? On top of that, just completely overhaul the point system on the skills, my goodness. Don't just turn off like these score breaker sets, because players are grinding for them, and they are most likely going after these sets to run them in summits, because besides using a score breaker in a summit, where else do you actually have to use it? Let me know in the comments, because I am still searching for this like Waldo. Do not know. But if they actually overhauled all of the skills though and made them actually, have a proper like score setting on them, and you can only use certain vehicle classes, then it would actually make more sense, because they would actually have that said skill overhauled for that category. So if you were doing like an escape and actually had to use a tier 2 vehicle, it is actually going to be set up in the aspect of, yeah, let's say you get like 5,000 yards. From there, you would end up getting a score that is probably going to be corresponding to that said vehicle category on that specific skill. Like, instead of always having to use a hypercar on an escape because, nothing else works on them, you can then use an actual like street tier 2 vehicle that's going to give you 150,000 points if you can actually get to like a higher yardage percentage on it, or at least, farther in that said skill. I just feel like something like this would end up working, but also make the skills in the game way more entertaining and most likely a lot more challenging in a lot of ways, because then having a score breaker set is going to make a difference in the slaloms, and doing something like an escape, you immediately can't go, oh, let me pick the Regera or let me pick the Bugatti. But nah, bro, you can't use any hypercars. You have to use a motocross bike or even a monster truck, and then have like the scoring that actually goes corresponding to the said vehicle you're running in it. I just feel like it would be so dang fun, man. Like, that would be so insane having a different mix-up of the skills. It really would actually bring out a lot more skill, and also, it would end up being like a nice mix-up or even a variety change into the summits that I do think everybody is looking for. Like, I do feel like a lot of players are looking at the summits like, you know what, man, can you guys change around a few things and make it a little bit more rewarding? Also, that brings me to my next point. You guys remember on the crew too how when looking at the summits and doing certain events you would get like parts or money or even something like the followers as well. Like, imagine for a second, guys, each event in the summit actually gave you something like 50,000 bucks. Let's say one event maybe gives you 50,000 bucks, the other one gives you like 2 gold like street tier 2 parts. After that, you'll then get like maybe 50,000 XP from one. Then you'll maybe get like 2 more gold parts for like motocross or like a different random vehicle class. Then you'll get yourself like another 50,000 bucks and more XP in the summit. I feel like a lot of players might go in just to get some of that extra money and the XP to level up. And then who knows, maybe going after that one event getting those 2 gold parts might end up being that actual part you were missing for a complete set. That would be so dang cool, man. My goodness, I hope they do this. Anyway, guys, I would like to know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the summits and Motorfest need like an overhaul? And I do feel like in some ways everybody is probably like, yeah, change a few things around, lock the skills out to certain classes, add it so you can actually use a score breaker set and it does do something, and then give us more rewards for each event like money, parts, and all that good stuff. That would be amazing. Overall, guys, I would like to know your thoughts in the comments below.